Kickoff for the 2025 college football season's just around the corner, and these are my best and worst case scenarios for the Missouri Tigers this season. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, where we get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. And as always, we're powered by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that's FANDUEL.com/SECU to get $250 in bonus bets today. It's back-to-back 10-win seasons for MIZ, and Eli Drinkwitz and company will look to build off of that in the upcoming 2025 campaign. And as we take a look at the Missouri Tigers, these are my best and worst case scenarios for MIZ. And no, folks, these are not predictions. This is simply my ceiling and floor as I see it for the Tigers in the upcoming season. First things first, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule, because the schedule goes a long way in determining what your ceiling and your floor is, because as we all know, there's no such thing as an easy SEC schedule, but some are more favorable than others. And admittedly, guys, I had heard some of the chatter, and I had done some of my own research, and I'd seen it in passing. But, over the last few weeks is when you really start to do your digging, really start to do your research, and, you really dive into these teams. So last week at SEC Media Days, when Eli Drinkwitz was speaking to the media, I pulled up Missouri's 2025 schedule. And my goodness, I did not realize, like I said, there is no such thing as an easy SEC schedule. But we can all agree they're not all built equally. Some are more favorable than others. Favorable is a really good way to describe Missouri's 2025 schedule. Guys, do you realize, and if you're watching this, then you very much do, but MIZ doesn't leave Como until October the 18th. We're talking middle of the season. The first 6 games of Missouri's schedule are at Faurot Field. Oh, by the way, there's no LSU. There's no Texas. There's no Tennessee. There's none of some of the biggest teams there's no Georgia. Some of the biggest and best teams in the conference you avoid. Now, MIZ fans, listen, I'm not taking a shot at you. I know it's like it's for whatever reason Missouri fans are taking it personally. You shouldn't apologize to anybody for having a favorable schedule, but let's just call it for what it is. It is favorable. That being said, let's go through it. You open up in non-conference play on that Thursday against Central Arkansas. You then get Kansas week 2 in a big rivalry game. Excited to see that one play out. You get Louisiana the following week. The Ragin' Cajuns come to town. You then finally open SEC play September the 20th against South Carolina, the battle for the Mayor's Cup. That'll be a big one. Tone setter, certainly, for the season. Then you face off against UMass. Then you get the big one against Alabama coming off of the bye week at Faurot Field. That one should be a lot of fun. Finally, the following week, you go on the road to Auburn, your first conference game on the road. Then you've got Vandy in Nashville. You then come home after a bye week and take on the Texas A&M Aggies, then Mississippi State, then at Oklahoma and at Arkansas. Guys, obviously the games that stand out, Alabama at home is a big one. South Carolina is a big one, right? A tone setter early on as you open conference play. Heck, Kansas week 2 in a rivalry game is a big swing game. At Auburn's pivotal. Texas A&M at home is a big one. At Oklahoma, there's some bad blood there, obviously, and of course, closing out at Arkansas. But the ceiling and floor for MIZ, I think, too, is dependent on how some of these teams are this season. Like, does South Carolina live up to their preseason hype? Is Alabama reverting back to being Alabama, or do they suffer a skid yet again under Kalen DeBoer? What is Auburn? What is Vandy with Diego Pavia? What is A&M? What is Oklahoma with John Mateer? And then what is Arkansas? Do Oklahoma and Arkansas have coaches by the time MIZ plays them? I think really interesting, and again, really does play into what the ceiling and floor is for Eli Drinkwitz's team. Speaking of that, let's talk my best case and worst case for the Missouri Tigers. Best case, I've got 9-3. Listen, I don't think this is a college football playoff team. I just don't. And I know some of you will push back. That's totally fine. But even in a best-case scenario, after what you lost offensively, I mean, how are you going to replace Luther Burden? How are you going to replace Theo Weiss? How are you going to replace the two-headed monster you had at running back? And I know you got a good one we'll talk about in a second. Brady Cook was such an underrated leader for that football team. Now, in a best-case scenario, you absolutely, with that schedule and with some of the talent you have, can get to 9-3. You need Bo Prabula to be that dude at quarterback. If he is that dude at quarterback, lives up to some of the hype we've heard, this offense could run like a well-oiled machine yet again. You got to find some playmakers on the outside to step up. That just has to happen in a best-case scenario. Norfleet at tight end needs to be a dependable option for you. Ahmad Hardy at the running back position. In a best-case scenario, he emerges, he flourishes, the offensive line's pretty solid, and maybe he has a 1,000-yard rushing season. Defensively, under Corey Batoon, just take the next step and keep doing what you've been doing. If you do all that, I think 9-3 is very, very much on the table. Again, 10-2 to me feels too aggressive. And I have a lot of respect for Eli Drinkwitz. I think he's maybe the most underrated coach in the SEC. I really, truly do. 10-2 or better feels a little aggressive for me. So I'm sticking with 9-3 as my best case. My worst case scenario for the Missouri Tigers. Here's the good news about this schedule, guys. I think the Mendoza line doesn't fall below bowl eligibility. I really don't. Like, I think there's a really good chance you're going undefeated in non-conference play. Sure, I mean, you might get tripped up by Kansas. I feel pretty good about you in that game, though. Tricky, no doubt, rivalry game. You're at worst, though, going 3-1 in non-con play. And I trust Eli Drinkwitz to get this program, get this team to at minimum 2 or 3 SEC wins. I mean, guys, there's a lot of opportunity here because not every team you play is going to click. We know that, right? Not every team you play is going to pop. Some are going to have disappointing seasons. You get so many of these big games at home, and your road slate's not that tough. I mean, again, Oklahoma and Arkansas to close it out of the season. Those teams may not even have coaches. You go to Vandy, and all due respect to Diego Pavia, Clark Lee, what they built, it's the least intimidating atmosphere in the SEC, right? You don't even worry about that. That's a fun trip. I'm sure Missouri fans are looking forward to coming to Nashville. And then the other one at Auburn, really tough atmosphere, but who knows what the team looks like. So I think even if you take a step back, even if Bo Prabula is not the guy you thought he was going to be, even if Ahmad Hardy really can't get going behind an offensive line that can't pave the way, even if you don't have the weapons emerge on the outside, certainly to be what Luther Burden and Theo Weiss were a season ago. And even if the defense is just okay, guys, I think 6-6 is your worst case scenario. I really do. I just don't see this season falling below bowl eligibility for MIZ. Again, some other schedules, maybe so. But this one, I think even if Missouri takes a major step back, I don't think you're falling below 500. I think the schedule is just that workable. So my best case scenario, 9-3. Worst case scenario, 6-6. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? What's your best case, worst case for MIZ in the upcoming 2025 college football season? Guys, that's going to do it for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Before we get out of here, let me tell you about our friends over at FanDuel, because as always, we are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Guys, college football season, it is just around the corner. You want to make sure you're in on the action with our friends over at FanDuel. Guys, they got parlays, they got spreads, they got totals, they got props. Everything you can think of, they've got it over at FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to get a $250 deposit bonus when you win your first $5 bet. Once again, FanDuel.com/SECU to get in on the action. And guys, it's not just college football. College basketball will be here before you know it. NBA, NHL, MLB's in full swing. Hey, you want to bet on fight night? You could do that as well. Guys, they've got anything and everything that you can think of. Make sure you're getting in and you're playing with our friends at FanDuel over at FanDuel.com/SECU to get that $250 deposit bonus when you win your first $5 bet. Guys, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Check us out via podcast, where you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website SECUnfiltered.com. Till next time, I'm Chris Phillips with SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we will catch you on the other side.